Hi folks, welcome to this video. We are going to today do a multi-track recording, and it's going to be a Wailer Manger. I'm going to multi-track up the bass, tenor, alto and soprano parts. This is so that my pupils can sing the tune with alto, tenor and bass in the background. And what I'm going to do is, in the process of making the recording, I'm going to experiment, try out Ardour's new features, which are sort of flexible tempo maps and varispeed recording. So I'm going to record the first take, which I think will probably be the tenor part, and then I'm going to try and kind of tempo map the tempo of the project, I think that makes sense, to the recording that I've made, so that when I record then the following part, say the alto part, I'll be able to hear a metronome which is at the speed that I sang the original take, and the metronome will kind of speed up and slow down with the take, rather than me having to kind of record to a defined click track. I hope that makes sense. And then I'm also going to try varispeed recording as well, which is where you can slow down or speed up the entire project, which will also either raise or lower the pitch. So what you can do is you can, what I'm hoping to do is to record the soprano part, slow down the entire project until the pitch is maybe like a minor third or something lower than it should be. So then I'll record the soprano part slower, but the idea is it'll be in a more comfortable pitch for me to sing. And then when I put the project back to normal speed to play back, the whole recording will be back into the normal pitch, if that makes sense. And the same with the bass part, except it'll be the opposite. So I'll be speeding the project up to record it, and recording the bass part again, probably like a minor third or something actually higher. So I'll be singing higher than it should be, because I don't have those bottom Fs. That's the plan. I'll just quickly show you. By the way, I think this camera is a bit blurry, so apologies if it is. I've not been able to work out why or what's going on. I'll just quickly show you the setup that I've got here. This mic up here is for the takes. This is the one that's going to go into Ardour, and this is coming into Capture 1, which is basically input 1 on my audio interface. That's not doing anything at the moment. And then what you're hearing is the mic in Capture 2, which is input 2 on my audio interface. It's just an AKG 1000. It's literally just sitting on the desk here. And that is the whole thing is using jack, because I'm on Linux, so this is the kind of pro audio stack, I guess. And Capture 2 is going to the jack input client, both inputs, so it's not stereo, it's a mono. You're hearing a mono recording in both speakers, and that is the jack input client is what OBS, which is on the other screen over here, is seeing. So here we go. Let's make a start. Let's get the project going. I'll launch Ardour. So this is my kind of, well, it's the only DAW I use. Mainly because it's, mainly because I've always used it, really. Oops. I've used it since version 2. It's on version 8 now. Back then version 2 was kind of a bit shaky, a bit ropey, but it's pretty full-featured now. Here we go. So this is a blank project. Over here we have the different views that you can see. Let's open it on the other screen. The mix view and the record view. This is fairly new, I think, the record view. I think this has only been a thing since like version 6 or something. And you can see basically like it shows you all the inputs from my interface. So you can see this is what OBS is listening to here. Ardour could listen to it as well. So jack, it's a sort of like anything to anywhere. So if I wanted, that microphone there could talk. I could pass that signal to both Ardour and OBS at the same time if I wanted to. Here's audio input 1. The reason I decided not to do that, by the way, is because when I stand up to go and sing over there, I thought, well, if that microphone is listening, if that's the one that OBS is hearing, then eventually I'm going to be standing up singing right into it, so the volume is going to be all up and down. Anyway, so we're going to have 4 mono audio tracks. This is nice to do in the record view because in the edit view, in order to set the inputs, you have to highlight the track and go up here to set the inputs. But in the record view, the input is shown for you there. So I can very quickly set those all to listen to the same microphone. We're also going to have a MIDI track, just one. And that is going to be organ, which I'm using Organ Tech. Organ Tech is a digital organ by Mod Art. They also make Piano Tech. What have I done? I was talking, I didn't actually see what I did there. Oh, I think it's just slow. Oh, there we go. I put it in the wrong place. We'll put that up at the top. And it's able to run natively on Linux, so that's what I use. And I'll just set the one quick thing over here. In order for you to hear what Ardour is doing, I need to link the master out of Ardour. It's already linked to the speakers, which I've got switched off. I'm going to be listening to it on the headphones, and now you should be able to hear it as well. And I've also got the monitor on the physical monitor button on my interface turned up so I could hear myself there, which was a bit odd. This is listening to the key step, which is just on the desk in front of me. You can't see that, I don't think. And hopefully, there we go. And hopefully you can hear that as well, and I should be able to check that. There we go, I think you can hear that. Great. I actually experimented with this yesterday and realised that I can't really play on these tiny keys from this key step. Well, I can't really play anyway, but you know the idea. But what I can do is I can get myself some notes from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch this off. I think you've seen the whole setup. I'm going to rename these tracks here, for example, like this. And then I'm going to record a couple of takes. So next time you see me, I'm going to have recorded a take, and then I'm going to walk you through my experiments with the tempo map. I'm trying to make the tempo map a little bit flexible. Okay, see you soon, folks. Okay, folks, we are back. So I have just attempted to do a take on the tenor line. It was pretty ropey, I will tell you now. I think it's the, what is it, like the 2nd of December today, and I was required to eat some Advent chocolate, so I think that was a bad idea. So hopefully you will be able to hear that. I'm just going to check that. I believe you can. Okay, so the tempo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the tempo, and I'm going to play the thing, and I'm going to kind of tap a constant tempo. Oh, okay, I'm not going to do that. You can't listen to it and set the tempo at the same time. That makes sense, really. So it was something like this. That's about right. 82 is about right, I think. Oops. I'm going to set the time signature to 3 in a bar, like that. And I'm going to have the word way. So it starts on an anacrusis. We're going to have the word way, which is just there. I'm going to have to kind of visually eyeball that. To start on a beat like that, I think. So if we pop the metronome on, hopefully you'll be able to hear that as well, I think. We should be able to hear. There we go. And so the way starts on beat number 1. Now, actually, I've made a mistake here, I think. I noticed I was doing some experiments with this yesterday, and I think I noticed that the tempo is so kind of all over the place for this. I think I need to do it in one in a bar, because the edits to the tempo map need to be more frequent, I think, than every 3 beats. So you can see already I've kind of lined that up not quite right. So I'm going to get the to go with the beat. Good. And already I'm too slow, right? So we'll put a tempo there, and then I can't quite remember how you do this. I'm kind of learning this as we go. So this is control drag the tempo here, look. And you can see it kind of adjusting itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and sort of predict. I'm going to switch the metronome off. I'm going to try to stop on way like that, and then I'm going to try to drag that so that the tempo, the grid line, lines up with where I stopped the recording. I hope that makes sense. And I'm gonna, I think this is going to be a long job. I think I'm going to have to do this for every single beat. So let's see if I do it for a bar's worth. Like that. Let's see. Wait, didn't I do manger? That should be bar 16, right? Oh, what have I done now? Sorry, get rid of those. And should that be there? I think. So now I'm going to pop the metronome back on and see if I've got that right. That's pretty good, right? So I'm going to pop a new tempo in there. So how did I just manage to do that with just a single click? Don't know. I'm going to switch the metronome back off. I'm not going to make you watch all of this. I'm going to stop this in a minute. So that one, because of the breath you see, that one I think is going to be one where I have to do it every beat. So we're going to drag to there. Pop a new tempo there. So that is quite a long beat, right? Oh dear. I need to get my keyboard skills better. So I'm going to, well, not keyboard, mouse really, I suppose. Is that about right? Let's pop a new tempo in there as well. Let's see. Now that's a strange one because the k is before the beat. Oop, I do that all the time as well. So I think for that one we are, told you my mouse skills. I'm gonna put it somewhere around there, I would say. So I'm going to pop the metronome back on and see if this is working. It is. So I am going to switch this recording off. I think you've seen enough of that. So that's the tempo map. That's how the tempo map is allowing flexibility in the tempo, and you can hear as I, whoops, no, clear the cue. We don't want cues. You can hear the tempo, the metronome changing as we go. That's the kind of idea there. It's probably helpful to see if I can have the metronome maybe do like half beats as well. What I've found in the past, I've not tried recording with a metronome on this new version of Ardour yet. In the past, I don't know whether this is my computer or whether it's Ardour, I've found that the metronome can get into the audio signal. So what I might actually do is, once I've finished tempo mapping this like this, I might pop a drum track in and just put a basic drum loop, like a MIDI drum track I mean, and get that to play the quavers for me. What this will do is, if you pop just a MIDI loop and stretch it across the, like copy and paste it ad infinitum across the whole project, it will play it at the speed that the tempo is set. So I think that if I do a drum loop, then it will adapt to the tempo map as we go. So that's something to have a little go at as well, I think. Right, okay, I really am switching you off. See you soon. Okay, folks, we are back, and I've nearly done. As you can see, it's quite a long job, and I have to confess, I'm not really sure how valuable this is going to be. I've done these things in the past where I've just kind of like eyeballed them, listened to the breaths and things like that, and they've always worked out, not perfect, but kind of passable. So this will be interesting to see how this one goes, because some of the timing, as you can see, like for example here, when there is a breath, it's pretty off. That's to be expected, of course. I wonder actually, like when there is a breath, I've not done this, but next time I do it, what I might do is actually do the breath as a beat in its own right. So I put a click at the start of the breath and one at the end, sort of thing, if that makes sense, rather than just at the start of the bar, like as if there was a pause almost. But I thought I'd show you the last bit. So as I've mentioned, I'm kind of learning on the job here. This is the first time I've done this. And so what we've got is, as you stretch the tempo, it won't affect the tempo afterwards, but what it will do is kick it all back, if that makes sense. So for example, if I wanted like this new tempo mark here, 66.8, if that was correct, but I decided that 75.8 was not correct, if I then slid that one backwards or forwards, it would not, the 75.8 would stay the same, but the 68.8 wouldn't. So it wouldn't slide like in between those two. It would slide the entire tempo map either backwards or forwards, if that makes sense. So click, hold will slide, control and then hold with the left mouse button will slide the tempo for you. Control and click will create a new tempo marker. So if we, for example, I want this bar marker here to come forwards. If I do that now, it will affect where this one is too. Okay, because the previous tempo mark is there. So what I want to do is put a new tempo mark there and then move this backwards, and then that's not affected where that tempo mark is. So in order to shift this one, I'm going to have to put a tempo mark the bar before, or the beat before in this case, because I've done it so that the beat and the bar are the same. So then I can slide this. So this is an example of where it might actually be better to put this breath as its own beat, if that makes sense. I might try it, see what happens. So that would bring, I'd need a new one here, and then bring this forwards like this. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. No, I don't like that. So we're gonna go. Is that correct? No. There. It's going to need to be there, right? So I'm going to slide that to here. I'm kind of eyeballing all this. Weird. Let's delete that one. What I've done something very strange, as you can see. Let's stretch this out to roughly what it should be. There. Okay, so it's this one that needs to move. I've not made any silly things like this. Well, quite as silly as that while you've not been watching. Children in thy tender care and fit. Good. So, a new one in there. He says. Great. And we'll bring that, bring that back here. And fit us for. Yeah, you here. Come back more. And fit us for. So I'm kind of just eyeballing it based on the wave that I can see. One thing I found is that I think this would be easier to do with, you know, like drums or guitars or something more percussive, especially sometimes when you're singing, the consonants don't actually always mark the start of the beat. So when you look at the sound wave here, you often see the consonants as being a bit louder than the vowels because the plosiveness or whatever, but they don't actually mark the start of the beat. Like, for example, if you're singing in the first verse, crib, no crib, so the k and the r are before the beat, and it's the I that hits on the beat. If you do it the opposite way around, I mean, obviously if you're making the consonant really short, no crib, then it will be on the beat. But very often, in order to really emphasize the word, the consonant is almost its own thing. And if you put the consonant on the vowel, it sounds like the entire word is late. No crib. I still didn't do it. No crib. You know what I mean? I can't make myself do it. But it's the vowel that needs to hit on the beat. So the consonants are before the beat. I hope that makes sense. So for us is gonna be a bit like there. And fit us for heaven. Occasionally, I do get a run of pretty consistent tempo. And then here's going to be quite a dramatic rit here. Yeah, you hear that. It's going to be right over there, look. This. Whoa, wrong one. See, I forgot to. So I'm moving this over here, and I've put this one in the right place. I don't want that one to move, so I've forgotten to put a marker on it. You see, there. I'm not convinced that this is right. What I think I might end up doing once I've created this tempo map is actually just redo the part to the tempo map, if that makes sense. We'll see. Right, so I've got a new tempo mark in there, that's good. So then I can, so Paul Davis, who authors the software, he's the kind of project lead. There are a couple of guys that work on it, I think. It's quite transparent, you can read all about it on the forums. It's open source, but you do pay for it. But having said that, you can pay fairly little, actually, like $4 I think is enough to get the binary. So it's not that much. Well, it's pay what you want basically. Like, so I'm subscribed to it. I pay monthly, which gets me like all the new updates and stuff. I think I don't know how much I've spent on it over the year, but I'm only subscribed for $4 a month. I probably should up it really. Well, we'll see. I can't really afford much more. So $48 a year. I mean, I've been subscribed for a long time, so I'm starting. It's at the point now where I've probably paid as much money into the Ardour project as I would have done if I'd have bought like a fully fledged DAW, you know, like Ableton or something. Probably not Ableton because that's expensive, but something like Bitwig or something that also runs on Linux. Like I've been subscribed for a good few years, so I would say I've probably put like, I don't know, maybe like nearly, I don't know, over $300 into the project. But I think it's worth it. You know. And fit us for heaven to live with. So I need one there, and the forums. So as well as the subscription, you do get support with that as well, which is via the forums. The forums are very good, and it's Paul and Robin are the two people that mainly author it. Paul's the project lead, and they're very well. The forums are quite amusing actually. They can be quite blunt on there, but rightly so. Like for example, there's one thread recently. Somebody was complaining about what was it? The pitch being different or something on like a synth plugin different in Ardour compared to somewhere else or something. It was really funny because the thread went on and on and on and on, but the first reply was from Paul, the lead author, and his reply was something along the lines of, "There is no possible way that this can be true," and and then the post, like there were so many replies, it went on and on and on and on, but of course Paul was right. Like there didn't really need to be any other posts really, because he was spot on. Okay. But yeah, so you do get via the forum, you do get to know a lot about the project, which is, well, I think that's quite nice. That's one of the best reasons to do open source, I think. Good. And good. So I think that's going to let me see it quite nicely. So the last time I tried to do this, I did try to do it in version 7. And one thing that I do criticise slightly is when they released version 7, I think it was 7.5, something like that. It might have been 7.8, I can't remember. It sort of talked about the new tempo matching features, which the idea is that they totally rewrote the tempo mapping like substructure or whatever you call it. I mean, I'm not a developer, so I don't know the proper terms. And the idea is that the way the tempo works in this is much more musical, apparently, like on a kind of microscopic level. And so I tried to do this in version 7, and I could not make head and tail of it. I couldn't get it right. I was really annoyed with myself. I thought I was being something stupid. I keep looking behind the camera because the camera's just in front of part of the screen. And I went on the forum and sort of tried to find out what was going on, and it turns out that tempo mapping was essentially completely broken in version 7, but they never said that in the release notes, which I think they could have done well to do. So you can see, let's find a verse, the middle of a verse, so we can see that. Is this the middle of a verse? Can't think. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So the idea is I've tried to put the correct number of beats in between there so that I can know when to come in. So what I think will be really useful about doing this is knowing how much space is between verses, because you can see, I've lost it again now. I should mark it, shouldn't I? Was it here? So I got rid of the location markers because I kept creating location markers when I didn't want to, which I do all the time. So that is going to be there. End of verse 1. And that's going to be start of verse 2. typing's not very good, especially when the keyboard's all the way over there. Okay, so next what I want to do is I want to get the counting pretty good here, so that let's see, if I zoom in here I should be able to see we're at 75.5 beats a minute there. So I think what I want to do is have this tempo here. Oh no. Oh yeah, that's totally wrong, isn't it? Because, yes, what a muppet. If I adjust, I should have done this first, right? This is the kind of mistake you learn about when you're doing it on the job. It's not too bad. Yeah, it's fine. What I was thinking was I want to match the tempo before, so that when I do some pre-roll, I've got the right speed, but it's just going to have to manage with that because if I alter the tempo here, it's going to alter it all the way over there. Now there is these BBT markers which might solve that for me. In fact, let's try it, shall we? So let's put one there. I'm not actually sure what these do. Let's do that. I wonder if I adjust this tempo here, I wonder if that will alter it there. Let's just check that I've not messed it up. Oh, I have. I have totally messed it up. Okay. I might need to there we go. Good. Okay, that's back. Right, so let's not use a BBT marker. I need to investigate those. Okay, so that is tempo map created. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go away and I'm going to, I think I'll probably re-record that tenor part to the click track that's now the flexible click track. I'll see. I might do the alto next and then see what I think about the tenor part. I think I'm going to record multiple parts anyway because I don't really like the way I sound. And if you record multiple parts, it just ends up sounding better. So I'll perhaps do the alto next. And so next time you see me, it will be, hopefully, to varispeed the soprano and bass parts. That's the plan. Okay, see you later, folks. Alright, folks, so we're back, and I've got a couple of extra tenor parts, I've got a couple of alto parts. I'm not particularly happy with the way the tenor part sounds. And I'm going to try and do the bass part. So what we're going to do is we are going to attempt to varispeed. Alright, so the varispeed button is here, there's the VS button here. And what we're going to do is make the whole project go up a couple of semitones. So that hopefully I can sing the bass part. So I think, if I'm right, I think the bass part should start on a B, right? Is that going to be right? Ah, this is very interesting. So I'm playing on my keyboard down here. That's the organ that you can sound here, and that has been varispeeded as well. Weird. So I can give myself, I can still play it in F on the keyboard to give myself a note. Away in a manger. Let's try that. Away in a manger. Oh yeah, because I gave myself the note before I varispeeded it. Away. This is messing with my mind. away in a manger, no crib for a bed. That's the idea. So I'm going to attempt to record this. I'm going to switch this off now and back once I've recorded it, so you don't need to listen to me singing too much. Okay, everybody, so we're back and we have got a bass part recorded. I still couldn't, so the bottom F's become a bottom G, I still couldn't get them. Terrible. So this is what I just recorded. And here it is back at the proper pitch. It changes so much, doesn't it? It's so funny. What I think I'm going to have to do is record the bass parts like at pitch as well, because well, I'm just am, aren't I? So I might do that next. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another bass now, and I'll be back when it's time to do the soprano. Okay, see you in a bit, folks. Alright, and we are back one more time. I'm really not sure that this is worth the effort to do all this with the varispeed and everything. It's good fun though, I'm quite enjoying it. Let's quickly pop some crossfades in here. I don't really mind here. Again, look. I don't really mind them being a little bit scruffy, you know, like they're all at different parts, because I kind of think, well, that's what would happen, you know, if it was a choir, everyone's kind of breathing and starting differently. You can see I'd turn snap on for resizing those three, not the others. Like that. Let's see what that sounds like. Let's get rid of this. So we've got three bass parts here. This one is varispeeded at 2 semitones. This one is at 3 semitones. This one is at pitch. I'm still not really getting the notes. I'm going to have to tidy them up, because I often like to do these things in one take, but this is already cheating, isn't it, with varispeed? If you listen to the end of verse 1, you can hear this awful groan. Asleep on the head. It's terrible. Absolutely shocking. Really awful. Okay, so yeah, I've been very surprised that the MIDI instruments are being varispeeded as well. I'd love to know kind of how that is happening. It must be like the varispeed is clearly happening, like, I don't know, it's sort of either directly before the master bus or after, because everything, like all the MIDI instruments, you can hear the drums. I've done it again, look. That's why I removed the location markers before, because every time I just accidentally hit them all the time. So you can hear with the drums here. Oh, I forgot to turn them back on. Foolish. Here we go. They are being affected by the varispeed. I kind of assumed that that wouldn't be the case. And even more weirdly, the organ is too, as we discovered in the last one. There's something weird going on there. What are the settings on that? What's that? 2 2/3. So is that adding like a fifth? really prominent on the A there, isn't it? Don't like that. Okay, well, what I'm going to maybe do is record, I might record the organ like as an introduction, so I'll have to re-register that if necessary. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is the soprano part, so I'll let you hear kind of roughly what it's. I'm not going to sing much of it, but yeah. Oh, back to the organ. So there we go with just nice flutes. In fact, it's even varispeed in the reverb tail. Listen. So that's, I don't know, that's bizarre. I feel that's weird. It's almost like it's varispeeding like the entire system. I wonder, I'd love to know where it's doing it. It makes me wonder if it's like, if I was to play, you know, a video in another program, I wonder if it'd do that as well. Surely not. Anyway, so I'm gonna notch the soprano down a third. I think I'm gonna do the same thing as I did before. Record it like a couple of times with varispeed and then once with at pitch, just with my own voice. It's only a top D in it, which I can get without too much problem. So it's less necessary with this one than it is the bass. Having said that, the bass sounds awful. So so who knows? But it'll be like this, right? Away in a manger, no grief for a bed. That's just a little bit, and obviously the mic's up there as well. So, so if we go back here, we can hopefully hear what that sounds like. And it sounds quiet, is what it sounds like. So let's put an amplifier on there. I've virtually all of my tracks in all of my projects will end up with this amplifier on them somewhere. You can just turn the gain up of like the individual region, but this works, obviously the amplifier works for the whole track. It's automatable as well. And I like to record with lots of headroom. You know, when I was young and I sort of started doing this stuff when I was in the sixth form and stuff, like in '98 or whatever, you were always told like record with basically as little headroom as possible. And the reason being because every time you do a pass, you turn in up the tape hiss. So you're maximising the musical signal compared to the tape hiss, right? Because if the musical signal is here and you have to turn it up to here, then you also turn in the tape hiss up from here to here. Whereas if the musical signal is there, then the tape hiss is still down here, right? Nowadays, it doesn't matter. It took me, when I first moved over to digital stuff, which we're talking a long time ago, like, you know, 2007 or something, I probably set up my first computer, maybe a little bit earlier than that. It took me a long while to realise that, and I was trying to record everything with, like, you know, as close to clipping as possible, and wondering why it sounded absolutely dreadful. So I always have a decent amount of headroom these days, and then just turn it up afterwards. So here it is with the amplifier, so we can hopefully hear the soprano part now. Sounds very strange. Anyway, you can hear that it's working. The effect is working. One thing that you know, again, back to the development of the Ardour thing and what have you. One thing that the Ardour team have said is that they would like there to be no, like, objective reason why people shouldn't choose Ardour as their DAW. And they've sort of said, you know, if people aren't choosing it because they just don't like the way it looks or like cosmetics or whatever, it doesn't matter because, you know, that's just cosmetics. But the idea is that there's nothing that you would want to do in a DAW that you couldn't do in Ardour. Like, for example, a long time ago, there was not even MIDI in there. And obviously that's a pretty essential thing. That there were going to be a lot of people that would never have even touched it at that time because MIDI is so essential. Now, modernly, being able to use clips and cues is a super essential part to a lot of people's workflow. Ableton Live introduced it, so it now has that. It's had that since version 7. This flexible tempo map I am ecstatic with. I'm sure I'll be using that a lot. What I'd love to try and do, like for example, I wonder if this will work, is to do a psalm and use the tempo map to put the bars where they would match for the chant instead of where they match, like, you know, instead of like with the breaths and stuff, and then just input the chant into like MuseScore, export it as a MIDI file, import it to Ardour, and then hopefully the bars would go where you want them, like at the when the actual chant changes. I'm using all the wrong language, but you get the idea. I think that would be really interesting, although again they have said that there's a limit to how much you can stretch the tempo map. It will break at some point apparently. They've sort of said, you know, there's in general, musically, you would only be going so much. I did wonder if this would be too much actually, like going down to 54 beats a minute all the way from, you know, 81 or 85 there. Look, I wondered if that would be too much for it, but it's clearly working nicely. I've not had any issues at all. I've had no crashes. The stability has been rock solid. There are no X runs. You'd see them up here. It would put them on the location marker line as little orange blobs. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yes, varispeed. So I think it's been very important that varispeed has arrived in Ardour because it's huge at the moment in particularly pop and R&B. You can hear it literally all over the place. It's almost like the new auto tune. You know, if you know what to listen for. There was one track one of my pupils asked for, and it was something like "By the Water Fountain" or something. I can't remember the name of it and who it was by. It was awful. I didn't like it at all. But like, the first thing I said to my pupil was, "You know that this person does not sound like this, right?" It was like this very kind of gender bending kind of sound, genderless kind of sound. You know, a very they them kind of sound. But, you know, and I was saying, this is not their voice. Their whole thing was very speeded up. It wouldn't have been much. Maybe the same as this. Maybe a minor third. You know, it's sort of, it doesn't sound like me anymore. It could have been that on that track that I was talking about. But it's all over the place. You know, you can't listen to modern R&B or pop things without hearing it. And I don't know who's pioneered it. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm obsessed with Jacob Collier, clearly. He does it a lot. And he does it, I don't know, I think he started doing it for the same reason that I'm doing it here. Basically, he wants to sing a part that's not actually in his range. I don't know if he was the first person to do it. I can't imagine he was, because most of the things that he talks about in his breakdowns and stuff is stuff that he's kind of nicked from elsewhere. So I doubt he's the first person to do it, but like I say, it's all over the place. It's all over James Blake's latest stuff. It's all over Disclosure's latest stuff. And even when they're not varispeeding it like this, they're sometimes literally just pitch shifting it, or sometimes using the little Alter Boy plugin in order to like make it sound as if it's been varispeeded almost, you know, like whip the formant up and stuff. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna sign off again. I'm gonna be back in a tick, and after I've recorded some soprano parts. It might be a while actually, because I've got to drop my wife off in town. But I'll see you soon. Okay, hello again, folks. As you can see, the time has changed. The light has changed. It's dark. I've dropped my wife off in town. Been for some exercise. That's why I'm looking even more scruffy this time. And it's dark outside. Hence, the light changed. So, I have now got soprano parts recorded. Same as before. Bass parts recorded. And I'm going to try... I thought I'd try one more thing, which I thought I'd try rather than the varispeed, to change the pitch, because as you so with the soprano parts, as you varispeed them, you're slowing it down and then you're recording it slower. Obviously the breathing gets a bit harder, but what it does do is it sort of minimizes mistakes, because if you're a split second off, then when you speed it back up again, that split second like decreases a certain percentage, right? But the opposite is true of the bass part. So actually the bass part, by varispeeding those, we're actually amplifying any mistakes that are made. So what I thought I would do is I thought I would export the current mix, re-import it, and pitch shift it up. There's inbuilt pitch shift in Ardour. So we've muted the drums. Everything else is normal. I've done one other thing since you last saw this. I've added some buses down here, which I'm not using yet. But eventually what I'll do is I'll route all the soprano parts to one bus, all the alto parts to another, tenors to another, basses to another. I'll do that. In fact, I'll do this with some of that now. So if we get the mixer over here, that's opened on the other screen, which is what I normally do. So for example, here's the soprano parts. I will route those. He says, what have I done wrong? That's very interesting. That's what I've done wrong. I've created mono buses instead of stereo buses. So let's sort that out. There we go. There we go. So if we go back over to the mixer, now it will be an option. There we go. So I can route these sopranos, whoa, wrong one, into here. And now when I play, whoops, don't want to do that either, here, I can control the sopranos separately, and what I'll probably do is put some EQ on here, so that each bus will be EQ'd slightly differently, just to kind of separate them a little bit. First out, and the sopranos will get rid of a low end. I'll do that later. Anyway, that's all that. So we are going to export. So we're gonna just call it something silly like that. Re-import. Not bothered about analyzing it. This is just rough, right? So so there we go, just imported it at the end. Is we want to go through and actually do the thing with the buses now, because then it will be easier just to mute everything. I'm looking behind the camera because the camera's obscuring the screen for me. Interesting. There we go. Okay, so now we can come over here, we can mute all of this. Like that. And eventually what we'll do is these buses here will all send to the reverb too. So over here we will go into pitch shift menu, and we will shift it by, is that too much? 5 semitones? 5 semitones up. Let's go, shall we go 4? Shall we stick with 3? Let's go 4. That means I'm singing a flat. Okay. So let's see what it does. I don't know. I've no idea how good the pitch shift is in this. Oh, that's interesting. Look, performance option. That's really interesting. So potentially we can tick that when we. So what we're going to do next is we're going to record another bass part, but we're going to record it whilst listening to this pitch shifted version, and then once that's recorded, so I'll be recording that bass part at the correct speed, and then once it's recorded, pitch shifting it down 4 semitones to match the concert pitch, if that makes sense. Yeah, it does make sense, doesn't it? So, oops. I'm great with the mouse, as you can see. So we'll have another bass. This is going to be bass 3, right? We only want one of them, not 14, and it should go in there. Okay, so let's have a quick listen to what the pitch shifted version sounds like. I'm interested to hear what it sounds like if we don't, if we preserve the formant. Sorry, if we tick the preserve formant box. Anyway, I am going to be off again, and I'm going to record this new bass part. I might do exactly the same thing with the soprano part as well, actually, and I will be back to show you the results. Alright, and we are back again. So what we have now is one more soprano, one more bass part. I'm going to need more tenors and altos, I think, as well. I didn't really intend to go quite this far on this. I intended this to be quite a quick thing. So we can listen now to, this is the exported version that is shifted up so that I could sing the bass with it, and this is I didn't tick the preserve formant button. Here is the one that's shifted down so that I could do the soprano part lower, and I did click the preserve formant button on this one. Now bear in mind that there is some weirdness going on with the formants anyway, because 2 of the bass parts and 2 of the soprano parts were varispeeded on that, so there is something odd going on, but I think it's done a pretty good job, and I think the pitch shifting has done a pretty good job too there. You know, it's the first time I've ever used it, so I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? It could have been bad. I'm not sure. So I'm just going to tidy this bass part up here a little bit. Give it a crossfade in there. Same with the soprano part here. You can see I've done a big horrible breath or something there. Little one there. Good. I've tidied a few bits up actually. You can see here I've actually redone the bass, the low Fs on the bass part. I didn't do it on the one that I've done at pitch because there's no point, because I just don't have an F, but this is the one where I sang the G and I redid that, and this is the one where I sang the A flat and I redid that, and I did that in all the verses. I've tidied 1 or 2 things up as well. I did do an extra take on the bass part that I just recorded, bass part 3, because I got a word wrong. So here is the bass part that I've just recorded. This, he says. I've forgot to unmute that. And if we go through and unmute these, you'll be able to hear that it's because the soprano part that I've just recorded plus the bass part that I just recorded are now in the wrong keys, right? The bass part is a major third up, that one there that I've just recorded, and the soprano part is a major third down. So let's try and shift these. So this is going to need to go. We're going to preserve the format on this one as well. This one is going to go 4 semitones down, major third. Let's try that. And then we'll do the same with the soprano one. And then I think probably that's it for this. I'm going to complete this without you lot watching. And the completed version, so here's the soprano part that I just did. That was in one take, I'm glad to say. Did I just move that? I think I might have done. I did. There we go. Here we go. So that's going to go up 4 semitones. Oh, did I tick that button on the bass one? Oh, I don't think I did. Let's undo the pitch shift that I just did. Sorry folks, you're going to have to watch that again now. Preserve format. What is it going down, right? Down 4. There we go. Yeah, I'll finish it without you lot watching, and I don't know which one will go up first. The completed version will go up. I was originally trying to video all the takes that I was doing as well, so that I would put like a multi-screen thing together, but I realised that actually I just couldn't be bothered. The obviously some of the bass and some of the soprano parts would have been either too fast or too slow, pardon me, so I would have had to like stretch them or something to match, and I just thought, no, it's too much effort. So the completed thing will go up, and it'll probably just have some kind of nice picture or something, I don't know, or a visualizer or something, I'm not sure. And then this video, obviously you'll be watching that, and I hope it's been useful. I hope you know what would be really nice if some people that are interested in what Ardour is or how to use it or whatever, have a look at this, or maybe people that are already using it that are interested in having a go with some of these pitch shift things or whatever, varispeed things. Here's what we've got so far. Yeah, I mean, I've said a couple of times through this, I'm not sure how worth doing all this it has been. This has very much been an experiment to see sort of, well, how to do it for a start, to learn how to do it for myself, and also to see how it works in practice, right? And I think it is more in time, more together than it would have been if I hadn't have done the tempo mapping thing. I think. I'm not certain though. I'm not certain. I've done it in the past where I've sort of like filmed myself singing it and conducting at the same time, and then watched that while I've been recording. All these different things I've tried to sort of get these things in time. I mean, clearly you can record it to a click track, but it doesn't sound right, you know. Not on something like this, not on a choral piece anyway. Anyway, I'm signing off. I hope this has been useful to at least somebody, and I hope you enjoy the final version. See you soon. Bye bye. Okay folks, just back for a postscript. Alright, so I just wanted to comment here. I'm running, this is Ubuntu Studio. I'm actually on a slightly outdated version. I'm on 2004, I think, which is the LTS. I didn't upgrade to 2204 simply because when things are working, I just kind of like them working. I will upgrade to 2404 though because of the support period and stuff. And also 2404 is switching to KDE, which I kind of like. And I'm running Ardour, and I just want to postscript comment that I've got, I think it's 12 audio tracks here that I've got going, recording and playing back simultaneously. I've had not a single X run, buffer overrun that is, I believe, and I've got OBS over here as well. sorry, I'm looking over my other screen, you can't see it. I've got OBS over here recording simultaneously a screen feed plus a video feed here, plus audio from a different channel. I've got all that happening at once, and the entire thing is being handled on a fairly old ThinkPad. It's a T440p. It's an i7, but it's not new. It's not new at all. I've had it for about 3 years. I've not really looked after it. It's been thrown about a lot. I use it all the time. It's an i7, but like I say, it's not new. I've had it 3 years, and that was second hand. It was refurbished off eBay. So, I don't know. I suspect it's maybe 2017 or something like that. i7. It's certainly a decent bit old. I think it's 16 gigs of RAM, but I might be wrong. It might be 32. I can't remember. But it's handled all of that without any problem whatsoever, which I think is pretty good. So I just wanted to make that observation. Win for Linux and Ubuntu Studio and Ardour. All right, I really am going this time. See you later.